Good morning, my name is Gary Heise, and let's see if we can do a quick painting demo of some wisteria for you. I work in what's known as the sumi-e style, which means draw the idea, as opposed to painting things with a lot of detail. So my approach, especially for the wisteria, is somewhat impressionistic. You'll see as I paint it, those that have a botanical background will realize I'm leaving out quite a bit of detail in the flowers, but I find that if you put all the details in for the flower structure itself, it gets a little overwhelming. So that is my personal choice. Using Marie's watercolors, basically you're going to need your standard yellow and indigo to make greens. That's the standard for painting flowers and leaves. Yellow number 218, indigo or cyan number 495. And for the flower itself, the purple 439 is great. I'm going to supplement, or you can also make your own if you don't have the purple, with the blue 451 and the rouge number 400. We're also going to need a little bit of white paint for adding brilliance to the color of the flowers themselves, and a little bit of ink. Here I've got my colors already set up. Blue, purple, rouge, white, yellow, and indigo. Oh, also a touch of the light orange, number 242, combined with yellow. Just a tiny bit of that as well. For brushes, the two on the left are actually soft white sheep or goat hair brushes, or at least they once were white. They're a little stained now, but they are clean. And we want those very soft for the flowers themselves. And then something, what's going to do most of the work for the leaves, I like the Blue Heron Arts Whisker Landscape brush. For me, that's a nice all-around painting brush. It's got a nice belly to it, so it'll hold some moisture and comes to a point as well. Great for leaves, vines, etc. in this case. And then some sort of detail brush, just something small that comes to a point. It's not really crucial what that is. Okay, mixing color. We're going to start off with the buds themselves right at the bottom. Mix up the purple. You can pretty much just use the purple straight at this point. Should be a nice, juicy, rich color, just enough moisture to make it brushable. Simply add water to that for the next step. Quite transparent. Also off to the side, I always have a scrap of the same paper that I'm painting on to be able to test my colors and my inks, because you don't necessarily know how wet the brush is or how strong the color is until you test it first. So you may not see it, but I'm constantly testing my color off screen, as it were. Make sure the colors mix so I don't get any streaks. And it's essentially the same type of stroke that I use to do the buds. Point is up and a slight, without twisting or moving the brush, actually moving the brush in a lateral way, starting from the outside, working toward what would be the stem coming down the middle. So for the outer left, I'm heading left to right. For the outer right, I'm starting right and heading left. And just quite impressionistic. Clean the brush a little bit. add a lot of white, and just to help make it a little different from what I've already painted, because I'm going to overlay this. The white's going to help to make it opaque and sit on top. I'm going to add a touch of red, a touch of rouge, and again, plenty of white, and very wet. Same sort of strokes, sitting on top. Can make that even a little redder. Okay, that's it. Again, very impressionistic. You want to give the impression of that mass without what I think of as bogging it down with too much detail. That choice is entirely up to you. A little bit of white, different brush, smaller brush. The brush is wet. Just working that white up about halfway up the brush itself. And then on the tip, a little bit of that orange, a little bit of that yellow. Just on the very tip, I need a little more orange. And that orange, again, is 242. It's a light orange. I think the name in Chinese translates to as goose orange. Holding the brush with the point down, this color is going to sit toward the bottom of the petal, bottom of the flower in the center. So the color just mixes on the paper as you paint it, because I have the white, and then at the very tip, the orange yellow. Don't need to hit every one, because not every flower is going to be facing us. But also some of that white is on there too. Okay. So now the petals are down. Now with a detail brush, we are going to mix up a little yellow with even less of the indigo. Touch of the indigo. We want a nice, fresh, young green. Young green meaning a very yellow green. In fact, it's so young, it's got a little bit of red in it as well. So I'm just touching the tip. There's green on there, just like I did previously with the brush for the petals with white and orange. Now I've got green, with touching the tip to some rouge. This is going to be my stem. We'll connect that to a vine in a moment. Stem comes down in an arc. It continues through toward the end, but some of it's hidden behind the petals. So we just have to imagine what's happening there. Recharge the brush in the same way if you need to. Stems come out almost perpendicular, stems that are attaching the petals from that main stem, but the weight of them is going to give them a little arc. Again, brush straight up and down. You don't want your stems too parallel to each other. We're representing something in depth, so some are going to, for example, if this is your main stem, we'll do that a little darker so you can see it. This is your main stem. The stem's coming off of it, going to overlap a bit. So they're not parallel to each other in rows. Okay. It's really a combination of red and green. Don't mix the red and green too much together on your brush. You'll get brown. You really want to see each color separately. And we're going to go back to the buds. At the base of the bud is going to be, I guess, the sepals that are sitting there. And that we're going to do, I'm going to do it the same way as I did the stem. Nice rich light green, as I'm mixing off camera. Yeah, that's a little better for you. Nice green, quite rich, quite thick, certainly flowing, but about the consistency of milk. A little bit of red on that tip. Okay. All right, flowers are done. Jumping in now with my, any dark hair, generally speaking, the darker the hair on a brush, the stiffer it is. The softer goat or sheep hair brushes are quite soft. So this is a nice dark hair brush. A mixed hair brush is fine too. Something that comes to a point that has a little stiffness to it. We're going to use this for the vine and the leaves themselves. Leaves, again, a nice yellow, mix up a little bit here, a nice yellow green. Oops. Nice yellow young green, right? New growth. We want to give a real feeling of spring and just all these blossoms just bursting out. The overall impression we want to get. Again, mix that pretty well. You don't want your colors streaky. Okay. And as we did with the stem, draw the little bit of that side and that bottom across the red for the new growth. Let's see for a second. Put that aside. Okay. So, Wisteria leaves. There's one main leaf. There's a stem. The other leaves come off the side. Across from each other, not staggered. Okay. So I'm drawing that end leaf first, and I'm going to imagine a arc stem here, and then another one up here. That's the gesture it's going to make. So it's coming out from behind the flower. Right, stem comes down here. First leaf. Stem. Going back, a little bit of rouge on the tip of that brush. And that's it. And at this point, I can actually put the green on in the middle of the brush rather than putting in the tip in, because I've got some pre-mixed green. Same process, a little bit of red on the tip. We're going to have another stem arcing out this direction. Okay. At this point, it's time for a vine. So I'm going to start off with an old growth vine in black ink. So my brush is wet, touching the tip into a little bit of black ink here, working it in. I don't want a jet black going on here. I want a little variation here. So I'm working that into the brush, but I've only touched the very tip into that black. So old growth, unlike the leaves, which we were doing with a wet brush, same brush, we want this to be a bit drier to show a sense of texture. So I'm actually draining off a little bit of the moisture from this brush. Maybe we'll have the vine come down, head that way. Okay. Got a little bit of flying white in here. We do want that. That's again showing some texture of the old growth vine. For a new vine, you can use a little brown. The color brown doesn't matter so much. I'm using 684. I'm going to combine that with a dilute ink. Got a little green on that brush too. Doesn't matter in this case. In fact, I like a little green in there so it's not so red. Okay. Exact color is not so crucial. Whatever you like. A little wetter. So this is going to be a young vine wrapping around. It's searching and looking for something to anchor itself to. So it's going to hit that old vine, wrap around it a bit, and then go off and do its own thing. So maybe it will come down here, wrap around a bit, and come out the bottom. Let's see what we can manage. All right, almost finished. Now, of course, we can build that up with more vines, more flowers, more going on. So we want to have some older leaves in there too, and we want to highlight this color. So we're actually going to do the leaves just in gray, just gray ink. I don't want a pure black. So I've mixed up just a little bit of the water with some of that black ink on the brush, fairly wet. And maybe we'll, let's see. Okay. Clean the brush. Now, the very last thing I'm going to do a tiny little bit of new growth, of new leaves that are just starting to pop out. Back to the green. A touch of red on the tip. And then just a few spots where even the leaves haven't come out yet. Again, that's a little bit of red and green combined. Green with a touch of rouge on the tip. A little bit of pure black onto those areas with the older vine, and that's it. So to develop this further, you could just do another layer and with more flowers, more leaves, more vines. And that should do it. That will give you a little insight into how I work. I hope this was helpful. Thanks for watching.